Hello, and welcome back to Fluent English Journey. My name is Ava, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Your support truly helps this channel grow. All right, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, do I really love myself? Maybe you laughed it off, maybe you felt a little nervous, or maybe a small part of you whispered, I am not sure. Today, I want to take you on a journey of self-love, understanding, and improving your English at the same time. You might be asking, why self-love? And why English? Well, listen carefully, because this story will show you something that is not only about words, but also about your heart, your mind, and your life. Let's start with a story about a young woman named Emma. Emma is someone like you or me. She wakes up every morning, gets ready, goes to work, and talks to people in English at her office. She has friends, hobbies, and dreams. But there is one thing she struggles with every day. She struggles to feel good about herself. Some mornings, she wakes up and thinks, I am not enough. I am too slow, too shy, or maybe not smart enough. Can you imagine feeling like that every single day? Emma is not unusual. Most of us have moments where we doubt ourselves, where we feel we are missing something important. But here is the interesting part. Emma does not know that this little doubt is stopping her from speaking English confidently. Every time she wants to express her opinion in a meeting, her mind whispers, what if I make a mistake? And so, she stays quiet. And every time she speaks with friends in English, she sometimes feels small or embarrassed if she doesn't get the words right. Now, imagine this. What if loving yourself could make you speak better? What if a small change inside your heart could make your English sound clearer, more confident, and natural? This is exactly what we are going to explore today. But first, let's go back to Emma. One morning, Emma decided to try something new. She looked at her reflection in the bathroom mirror and said, I am going to try to love myself today. Simple words. Simple action. But inside, she felt a little strange. She felt a little uncomfortable. Why? Because many of us are not used to saying kind words to ourselves. We are used to criticizing ourselves. We are used to pointing out mistakes, weaknesses, or failures. Saying, I love myself, might feel strange, even wrong. But here's the magic. As Emma said these words, something tiny began to change. She felt a small spark of courage. She felt a small moment of confidence. And she realized something important. Self-love is not about being perfect. It is not about always feeling happy. It is about accepting yourself as you are, with all your strengths and weaknesses. Now, let me ask you a question. Can you say to yourself, right now, I am enough? Try it. Slowly, quietly, in your own mind. It may feel strange, it may feel unusual, but just try. Because every time you practice self-love, your brain begins to believe it. And when your brain believes it, your English speaking can improve too. Yes, your English. Because speaking a new language is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It is about courage. It is about confidence. And it is about trusting yourself enough to try, to speak, and to make mistakes. Emma started small. Every day, she spoke one kind sentence to herself in the morning. I am enough. I am learning. I am brave. Slowly, she noticed small changes. She felt lighter. She felt stronger. And then, she noticed something amazing. She started speaking English more freely. She raised her hand in meetings. She joined conversations with friends. She made mistakes, yes, but she did not feel ashamed. She felt curious, excited, and alive. So, what is the lesson from Emma's story? Self-love is like a mirror. When you look at yourself with kindness, your words, actions, and even your English can reflect that kindness. And here is another secret. You can practice this while learning English. Every time you speak, every time you write, every time you listen, remind yourself that you are enough. Mistakes are not failures. They are steps toward improvement. Before we move to the next part of our story, I want you to think about your own life. Are there moments when you are too hard on yourself? Are there times when you stop speaking English because you're afraid of mistakes? Remember, every person learning English feels this. Even native speakers sometimes feel insecure. The difference is in how we treat ourselves. And this is what self-love teaches us. By the end of this journey today, we will explore not only Emma's transformation, but also practical ways you can use self-love to speak better English. You will learn how to build small habits, how to create positive thoughts, and how to make your mind your ally instead of your critic. And along the way, I will guide you with simple English sentences, slow, clear, and friendly, so you can practice listening, speaking, and understanding naturally. Now, let's pause and imagine a question together. What would your life be like if you spoke English with full confidence? What would it feel like to express your ideas freely, to chat with friends, to speak in meetings, or even to share your thoughts online without fear? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine it. Breathe in and breathe out. Feel that little spark of courage. This spark is the start of your self-love journey. And just like Emma, you can grow it every day. Emma's heart was beating faster than usual that morning. She had prepared her presentation for days, practicing her English sentences again and again. She had written notes, made slides, and even rehearsed in front of the mirror. But now, standing outside the meeting room, she felt nervous. Her palms were sweaty, her stomach twisted, and her mind whispered, "What if I make a mistake? What if I forget my words?" Have you ever felt that way? Maybe before speaking in English, before answering a question in class, or even before talking to someone new. That feeling is normal. Every learner experiences it. But here is the secret. The feeling does not have to stop you. Emma knew this in theory, but in reality, it was different. She took a deep breath. Slowly. In and out. She remembered the words she had been practicing every morning. I am enough. I am brave. I can try. She whispered them quietly to herself. Just a few seconds of self-kindness. It was enough to calm her mind slightly. Emma walked into the meeting room. The room was big. There were 10 people already sitting around the table. Some looked serious. Some were busy with their laptops. And there she was, feeling small. Her first instinct was to stay quiet, to just sit and listen. But then she remembered why she had been practicing self-love. She remembered that mistakes were part of learning. She remembered that courage grows when you try. Her turn came. She stood up. She opened her slides. Her voice trembled at first. Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about. Her words were slow, simple, but they were clear. She looked at the faces around the table. Some people nodded. Some smiled. And she realized something important. Nobody was waiting to criticize her. Nobody was judging her as harshly as she judged herself. As she continued, her confidence grew. She remembered phrases she had practiced in English. This idea is important because I believe we can improve by, let's try to, together. With each sentence, she felt a little lighter, a little braver. Even when she stumbled over a word, she smiled and moved on. It's okay, she thought. I can correct it later. This is a key moment for all English learners. Speaking is not about perfection. It is about expressing your thoughts. Emma realized that self-love and English were connected. The more she accepted herself, the more naturally her words flowed. The more she forgave herself for mistakes, the more she could practice without fear. After the meeting, her colleague came up to her. Emma, that was a good presentation. Your ideas were clear. I liked the way you explained the project. Emma felt a warm feeling inside. Not pride in the loud sense, but a quiet satisfaction. She had faced her fear. She had spoken English even when she was nervous. She had tried. But here is where the story gets more interesting. Speaking English is one thing. Feeling self-love every day is another. Emma realized that one meeting was not enough. She needed a daily practice to build her courage, confidence, and English skills at the same time. So, she created a small habit. Every morning, before work, she would look in the mirror and say 3 kind sentences to herself. I am learning. I am enough. I can try. Then, she wrote 1 sentence in English about her goal for the day. For example, today, I will speak to 1 new person in English, or today, I will practice a new phrase in English. Small, simple steps, but they were powerful. Let's pause here. Can you try this for yourself? Right now, write 1 sentence in English about your goal today. It can be tiny. Just 1 line. I will read 1 page in English. I will speak English for 5 minutes. Simple goals. Tiny actions. But they create confidence. They create progress. Emma also discovered another tool, listening to stories in English. She found podcasts, graded readers, and simple videos where she could hear slow, clear English. She would listen while walking, while cooking, or even before sleeping. The voices of others speaking clearly, with emotion and expression, taught her new words, new phrases, and new rhythms. Listening became a way to practice without pressure. It was like feeding her mind with courage. Over time, Emma noticed something amazing. Her English improved naturally. She was not just memorizing words or grammar. She was learning the flow of conversation. She was learning to connect her thoughts to words. And she was learning to speak with confidence because self-love had changed the way she faced fear. Now, let's reflect on a question together. Think about a moment when you were afraid to speak English. Maybe in class, maybe with a friend, or maybe online. What was the feeling inside you? Was it fear? Nervousness? Doubt? Now, imagine speaking those same words slowly, kindly, with courage. Imagine forgiving yourself for mistakes. Imagine smiling, even when you stumble. Can you feel the difference? Emma's journey teaches us that self-love is not just about feelings. It is about action. It is about doing small, consistent things that make you stronger, braver, and more confident. Every time she spoke English, every time she tried, she reinforced a message. I am enough. I can try. I can improve. And guess what? You can do the same. By now, Emma's small habits had created a ripple effect. She was speaking more confidently. She was learning more naturally. She was listening more carefully. And she was slowly becoming the person she wanted to be, someone brave, kind, and fluent in English. Before we move to the next section, let's ask another question. How often do you try English with kindness instead of pressure? How often do you forgive yourself for mistakes? Remember, self-love is the fuel for courage. Courage is the fuel for practice. And practice is the fuel for English improvement. Just when Emma thought she was making steady progress, fear returned. It was a normal Tuesday morning, and she had been asked to join a team video call. Normally, she loved seeing her colleagues, but today, she felt a familiar tightness in her chest. Her mind whispered, what if I say something wrong? What if they laugh? What if I don't understand the question? Have you ever felt that way? One day, you feel confident. The next, a small fear comes back. It's normal. Learning English and loving yourself are not straight paths. They are like waves in the ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes rough, but always moving. Emma sat in front of her laptop, her heart beating faster. The call started. People greeted each other cheerfully. They began talking about a new project. Emma listened. She understood most of the words, but a few phrases confused her. And suddenly, her fear grew bigger. I won't be able to speak. I will mess up. Here is the turning point. Emma remembered a simple technique she had learned. Pause, breathe, and speak slowly. She closed her eyes for 2 seconds and whispered to herself, I am enough. I can try. Mistakes are okay. Then, she opened her eyes and looked at the screen. The first sentence she said was simple. Hello, I think we can try this approach. Her voice was soft, but clear. She felt a tiny spark of courage. And as the call continued, she used simple phrases she had practiced. I like this idea. Can we discuss it more? I am not sure, but I can try. Something amazing happened. Even though she spoke slowly and made small mistakes, her colleagues listened carefully. They nodded, smiled, and responded kindly. And Emma realized a truth. Confidence does not come from being perfect. It comes from trying, from speaking, and from trusting yourself enough to participate. This is a lesson for all English learners. Mistakes are not failures. They're steps. Every time you try to speak, you are learning. Every time you listen carefully, you are improving. And every time you forgive yourself for errors, you grow stronger. After the call, Emma reflected on her feelings. She felt proud, not because she was perfect, but because she had faced fear and acted anyway. She wrote in her journal, I spoke English today, even when I was scared. I am proud of myself. Writing this down made her feel lighter. She realized that self-love is not just about saying kind words, it is about noticing your actions and appreciating your efforts. Then, Emma added a new habit. Every evening, she would spend 10 minutes reviewing her day in English. She would write simple sentences. I spoke to my colleague. I understood most of the meeting. I tried and I feel good. This small reflection helped her see progress she might have missed otherwise. Can you try this too? Take a small notebook or open your phone notes and write 3 simple sentences in English about your day. Focus on what you tried, not on what you failed. It can be tiny, like, I read 1 page in English, or I listened to a podcast for 10 minutes. Small wins create big confidence over time. Emma also realized that listening is as important as speaking. She started listening to English stories and simple conversations daily. She repeated phrases slowly, sometimes out loud, sometimes in her mind. She focused on pronunciation, rhythm, and expression. Over time, listening became easier. Speaking became easier. And slowly, English stopped feeling scary. It felt like a friend. Here is a secret she discovered. Self-love and English practice reinforce each other. The more she was kind to herself, the braver she became. The braver she became, the more she practiced English. The more she practiced English, the more confident she felt. And confidence made self-love even stronger. It was a cycle, a positive, growing circle. But life is never only easy. One day, a new challenge appeared. Emma was invited to give a short speech to a bigger group. This was bigger than a meeting. More people, more pressure, more fear. And guess what? Her old thoughts came back. I can't do this. I will fail. Everyone will notice my mistakes. Here's the lesson. Fear will come back. Always. But the difference is in how you respond. Emma remembered everything she had learned. Pause, breathe, speak slowly, and remind yourself, I am enough. I can try. She prepared by practicing in front of the mirror and recording herself. She watched the video and said, even mistakes are okay. I am learning. The day of the speech, Emma stood in front of the room. Her hands were a little shaky. Her voice trembled slightly. But she began. She spoke slowly, clearly, and with heart. She smiled at the audience. She paused when needed. And when she stumbled over a word, She laughed softly and continued. After the speech, someone from the audience came up. Emma, that was wonderful. You spoke clearly and confidently. Thank you for sharing. Emma felt a warm feeling inside, a mix of pride and gratitude. She realized that facing fear with self-love changed everything. Let's reflect together. Think about a moment when you were afraid to speak English. How would it feel if you faced that moment with kindness instead of fear? Imagine pausing, taking a breath, speaking slowly, and forgiving yourself for mistakes. Imagine finishing, feeling proud of trying. Can you feel it? That is the power of self-love. That is the power of courage. That is the power of speaking English naturally. Emma's journey shows us that small daily actions, kind words, listening, writing reflections, trying even when scared, can change our confidence and our English skills. And the best part? You can start today. No special tools, no perfect words, just you, kindness, and small steps. After facing her fear in meetings and speeches, Emma began to notice something very interesting. She realized that learning English did not have to feel like work. It did not have to feel stressful or scary. In fact, it could be fun. She remembered the first time she listened to an English story and laughed at a funny part. That small moment made her feel alive, curious, and excited. And that excitement made learning much easier. Have you ever noticed that when you enjoy something, you remember it better? Maybe it is a song, a game, or a story. The same is true for English. Emma began exploring English in ways that made her happy. She started watching short videos with simple English conversations. She listened to podcasts about things she liked, music, travel, books, and simple life stories. She even tried following English songs slowly, reading the lyrics, and singing along quietly. One important habit Emma created was asking questions while listening. She would pause a video or podcast and ask herself, what did they just say? How would I say that in my own words? Can I repeat it slowly? This simple act made her brain more active. It helped her notice words, expressions, and the natural rhythm of English. It also made her feel more connected to the story, not just the language. Here is something amazing she discovered. When she listened and repeated, she began to speak more naturally. Her words became smoother. Her sentences flowed better. And mistakes felt smaller because she knew she could always try again. Slowly, English stopped feeling like a challenge and started feeling like a friendly companion she could explore every day. Emma also used her curiosity to practice speaking. She would imagine short conversations in her mind. For example, she might think, if I meet a new friend in English, what could I say? Then, she would practice these sentences slowly, clearly, in front of the mirror. She smiled at herself, corrected softly, and repeated. Over time, she felt more confident speaking naturally. Another secret she found was storytelling. Emma loved stories, so she started telling small personal stories in English. She would narrate her day, describe something she liked, or talk about a memory. She didn't worry about mistakes. She focused on emotion, flow, and clarity. And something magical happened. The more she told stories, the easier English became. She realized that language is not just words, it is a way to share feelings, thoughts, and ideas. Can you try this too? Take one small story from your life, a short experience, a memory, or a simple idea. Try to tell it in English. Speak slowly. Don't worry about mistakes. Focus on telling the story with your heart. Imagine someone is listening and you want them to understand you. This practice is powerful because it connects your mind, heart, and voice. Emma also discovered the power of play. She would challenge herself with fun activities like describing objects around her in English or creating small dialogues in her mind. For example, she would look at a cup of coffee and say, "This cup is brown." I like its shape. I drink coffee every morning. Simple sentences. Simple thoughts. But the act of noticing and speaking made her brain active and confident. Another helpful habit was repeating phrases from conversations or stories. Emma would pick one useful sentence every day and practice it slowly. She would use it in real situations or repeat it at home. Over time, these small phrases became natural. They were ready in her mind whenever she needed them. This is a simple but powerful trick for all learners. Repetition builds confidence. Here is a reflection question for you. Think about your favorite English word, sentence, or expression. How could you use it in your daily life? Could you say it to yourself in the morning? Could you practice it while walking or cooking? Could you make a short story with it? Simple, playful practice like this helps English become natural, not forced. Emma's journey also showed her the importance of patience. Learning English is like planting seeds. Some days, nothing seems to grow. Other days, you suddenly notice a small improvement. Maybe you understand a sentence faster. Maybe you speak one phrase more smoothly. These small moments of growth are signs that your efforts are working. Self-love is key here because it allows you to celebrate small wins instead of criticizing yourself for what you cannot do yet. By practicing joy, curiosity, and storytelling, Emma's English improved naturally. She became more confident, more fluent, and more connected to her learning. She no longer felt pressure or fear. She learned to enjoy mistakes, to laugh at them, and to try again. This mindset created a cycle of growth. Happiness encouraged practice, practice built confidence, and confidence reinforced self-love. Let's reflect together. Imagine learning English like a game. Each sentence is a step. Each story is a level. Each mistake is just a small challenge, not a failure. Can you feel the excitement of discovering new words, expressions, and ideas? Can you feel yourself improving slowly, step by step, with joy? That is exactly how Emma's journey became powerful. After practicing English with joy, curiosity, and storytelling, Emma felt ready for the next step, speaking with real people. She had spent weeks building confidence in her own space, speaking in front of mirrors, recording herself, listening to stories, and repeating phrases. Now, it was time to use her English in the real world, where conversations could be unpredictable and exciting. Have you ever felt nervous to speak English with someone new? Maybe a friend, a classmate, or a stranger online. That feeling is normal. It is natural to worry about mistakes or misunderstandings. But Emma knew something important. Fear is not a sign that you cannot do something. Fear is a sign that you care. It is a sign that you are growing. Emma decided to start small. She chose one simple action. Say hello to one person in English every day. It could be a colleague, a friend, or even a cashier at a cafe. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Her voice was quiet. She stumbled over words. But she kept smiling and reminding herself, I am enough. I can try. One morning, she walked into a cafe. She looked at the barista and said slowly, Good morning. Can I have a coffee, please? The barista smiled and replied, Sure. Would you like milk or black? Emma paused for a moment. Her heart beat faster. Then she answered, Milk, please. Thank you. Simple words. Simple exchange. But Emma felt a small victory inside. She had spoken English with someone she did not know. She had acted with courage. Over the next few weeks, Emma tried more small conversations. She asked colleagues simple questions like, How was your weekend? Or, Can you help me with this? She also practiced short chats with friends online. Each conversation was not perfect. Sometimes she searched for words. Sometimes she made mistakes. But she always remembered one rule: kindness toward herself. Mistakes were okay. Trying was what mattered. Something amazing happened. The more Emma spoke with others, the easier English became. Her brain started noticing patterns. She remembered phrases naturally. She understood words faster. Her sentences flowed more smoothly. And most importantly, she felt confident, not proud or arrogant, but calm and sure of herself. Emma also learned an important trick. Listening carefully is as powerful as speaking. In every conversation, she focused on the words and feelings of the other person. She repeated phrases in her mind, thought of simple responses, and then spoke slowly and clearly. By combining listening and speaking with patience and kindness, her English improved naturally. Here's a tip you can try too. Next time you speak English with someone, focus on 3 things. Listen carefully, speak slowly, and do not fear mistakes. Smile when you pause. Repeat phrases in your mind before answering. This simple method will make conversations easier and more enjoyable. Emma noticed another change. She started thinking in English more often. Instead of translating from her first language, she pictured situations and described them in English inside her mind. For example, while walking, she thought, "I see a red car. It is moving fast. I like the color." Small sentences like these may seem simple, but they train your brain to form English thoughts naturally. Then, she faced a bigger challenge. One day, her company organized an online meeting with colleagues from another country. This time, the conversation was faster, the accents were different, and the questions were unexpected. Emma felt nervous. Her old fear tried to return. What if I don't understand? What if I cannot reply? But Emma remembered her practice. She paused, took a deep breath, and spoke slowly. She repeated phrases in her mind before answering. She smiled. And guess what? She managed the conversation. She asked politely when she didn't understand, "Sorry, can you say that again, please?" She answered clearly when she could. She made small mistakes, but they did not stop her. The meeting ended, and Emma felt proud. Not because she was perfect, but because she tried, she listened, and she communicated. This is a very important lesson for all learners. Real-life practice teaches you more than textbooks. Mistakes are natural. Questions are normal. What matters is courage, patience, and self-love. The more you practice, the easier conversations become. The more you trust yourself, the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel, the more naturally English flows. Emma also started reflecting after conversations. Every evening, she would write 2 or 3 sentences in her journal. "Today I spoke with a new person. I understood most of the conversation. I tried my best. I feel good." These small reflections reinforced her confidence and her love for learning. Here is another question for you. How can you practice English in small ways today? Can you greet someone, ask a simple question, or describe something around you in English? Can you reflect on it afterward, celebrating your courage instead of focusing on mistakes? Small actions like these create big results over time. Emma's journey shows us a clear path, combines self-love, joyful practice, listening, storytelling, and real-life conversations. This combination builds confidence, fluency, and courage. Mistakes are no longer scary. Speaking English becomes natural. And learning becomes a joyful, daily habit, not a stressful task. After weeks of small conversations and joyful practice, Emma discovered something new. English was no longer just words, grammar, or pronunciation. It became a bridge, a way to connect with people, share ideas, and even share feelings. She realized that learning a language was not just about speaking correctly. It was about expressing herself and connecting with others. Have you ever noticed how good it feels to share a thought or a feeling with someone who understands? Maybe it is a friend, a teacher, or someone online. That feeling is powerful. For Emma, it became a turning point. She started noticing small opportunities to connect in English. A colleague smiled at her. She smiled back and said, "How's your day?" Simple words. Simple sentence. But it opened a door for conversation. Emma also discovered that self-love played a big role here. When she was kind to herself, she felt less pressure in conversations. She was more patient when someone spoke quickly. She was less afraid to ask, "Can you repeat that, please?" And she was able to listen carefully without judging herself. Self-love gave her courage to connect with others. One afternoon, Emma met a new colleague named Liam. He had recently joined the company and spoke English as a second language too. At first, they exchanged polite words, small sentences, and smiles. But Emma remembered her storytelling practice. She decided to share a small story about her morning. "This morning, I drank coffee and watched a funny video. It made me laugh. I felt happy." Liam smiled and replied, "That's great. I also drink coffee every morning. Maybe I can watch funny videos too." A small story had created a connection. Emma realized that English could be warm, friendly, and expressive. She didn't need perfect grammar. She didn't need perfect vocabulary. She just needed honesty, curiosity, and kindness. And Liam, too, felt more comfortable sharing his thoughts. Their friendship began, slowly but naturally, through small English conversations. Emma also began practicing questions. She learned that asking simple questions can open conversations and build connections. What do you like to do on weekends? Have you watched any good movies recently? What is your favorite food? These simple questions allowed her to practice speaking and listening while connecting with others. Let's pause for a moment. Can you try this too? Think of one person you can ask a simple question in English today. It can be a friend, a family member, or even someone online. Ask slowly, listen carefully, and respond kindly. This small action is powerful because it creates connection and builds your confidence. Another lesson Emma discovered was that sharing feelings in English helps language become alive. For example, instead of saying only, "I like this project," she could say, "I really enjoy working on this project because it challenges me and makes me feel excited." These small additions express emotions, and emotions make English memorable. Emma also noticed the power of listening to understand, not just to respond. When she listened carefully, she noticed expressions, phrases, and tones that she could use in her own sentences. She also felt more empathy. Understanding someone else's words and feelings made her conversations richer and more meaningful. Sometimes Emma stumbled. Sometimes she did not know the right word. But instead of stopping, she smiled and explained with simpler words. "I don't know the word, but I mean this." Most people appreciated the effort. And Emma realized something important. Communication is not about being perfect. It is about connection. And self-love makes this possible because it allows you to keep trying, even when you feel unsure. Over time, Emma's English became more natural in social situations. She could share a story about her day, ask questions, and listen with attention. She could laugh, express feelings, and even explain small problems in English. And the best part? She felt confident, kind, and patient, not just with English, but with herself. Here is a reflection question for you. How often do you speak English to connect, rather than to perform? How often do you focus on understanding and expressing ideas, instead of worrying about mistakes? When you speak with connection in mind, your English becomes alive. It becomes your voice, not just words. Emma also began noticing that English allowed her to grow her friendships and her learning. She could ask friends for advice, share experiences, and exchange stories. English became a bridge for learning new ideas, cultures, and perspectives. And each small connection reinforced her confidence and self-love. By the end of this section of her journey, Emma understood a simple truth. Learning English is not only about words or grammar. It is about courage, connection, and expression. The more she practiced kindness toward herself, the more she connected with others. The more she connected with others, the more naturally English flowed. So here is the takeaway from Emma's story in this section. English is not a wall. It is a bridge. And the foundation of this bridge is self-love, curiosity, and courage. When you speak with kindness toward yourself and others, when you focus on connection rather than perfection, English becomes a natural part of your life. After months of practicing self-love, joyful learning, and connecting with others, Emma realized that English was no longer just part of her job. It had become a tool for life, travel, daily situations, friendships, and even personal growth. She discovered that when she combined self-love with her English practice, she could face challenges in every part of her day with confidence. One weekend, Emma decided to go to a small market in her city. Normally, she felt shy speaking English to strangers. But this time, she reminded herself, I am enough. I can try. Mistakes are okay. She approached a shopkeeper and asked slowly, Excuse me, how much is this fruit? The shopkeeper smiled and replied clearly. Emma answered, I will take 2, please. Thank you. This small interaction gave her a sense of freedom. She realized that English could make daily tasks easier and more enjoyable. Paying for items, asking for directions, or ordering food became opportunities to practice. Every small success added to her confidence, and every mistake became a lesson rather than a failure. Emma also began thinking about travel. She had always wanted to visit a new city, meet new people, and explore new cultures. With her growing English skills, she felt ready. She imagined asking for directions, ordering food at a restaurant, or making small talk with locals. She even practiced sentences in front of the mirror. Excuse me, where is the bus station? Can you recommend a good place to eat? Thank you for your help. Simple sentences, but essential tools for daily life. Another area Emma explored was making friends online. She joined English-speaking groups and forums about her interests, books, music, and hobbies. At first, she only read posts. Then, she tried commenting. I like your suggestion. I will try it too. Slowly, she began sending short messages and participating in discussions. Each interaction strengthened her confidence and reminded her of the joy of connecting with others in English. Emma realized that self-love was central to these successes. Every time she forgave herself for a mistake, tried again, or smiled at a small victory, she reinforced her courage. Self-love and English became partners. One supported the other. When she loved herself, she spoke better. When she practiced English, she felt more proud and kind toward herself. One afternoon, Emma faced a bigger challenge. She wanted to visit a library in another part of the city to borrow an English book she had been curious about. She had to ask for directions, take a bus, and speak to people she had never met. She felt nervous, but she remembered her practice. She took a deep breath and approached a passerby. Excuse me, can you help me? I want to go to the library. The person smiled, gave clear directions, and Emma followed them carefully. At the library, she asked the librarian, Can I borrow this book, please? The librarian nodded and helped her. Emma thanked her politely. Each step of this small adventure reminded her that English, combined with self-love, could open doors, literally and figuratively. Emma also used English to explore learning in other areas. She watched online tutorials for hobbies she loved, like painting and music, all in English. She followed simple instructions, repeated sentences, and sometimes asked questions in English in comment sections. This made her feel independent and capable. Learning became a joyful experience, not a task. Here is a reflection question for you. What small part of your daily life could you practice English in? Can you order food, ask a question, or read a short story in English today? Can you do it with patience, kindness, and curiosity? Small steps like these build real-life skills and confidence that go beyond any classroom. Emma also started journaling about her personal growth. She wrote about experiences, feelings, and lessons learned in simple English sentences. For example, today I asked for directions. I was nervous. I tried. I feel proud. Writing helped her reflect, remember progress, and reinforce self-love. It was like creating a personal roadmap for success, one sentence at a time. She discovered another truth. English is not just a language. It is a way to express yourself fully in the world. The more she practiced kindness and patience with herself, the more naturally she could use English in real situations. Every new interaction, every new sentence, was a chance to grow and feel confident. By the end of this section, Emma had transformed her daily life. English was no longer a challenge or a task. It was a tool for independence, learning, connection, and courage. Self-love was no longer just a phrase she said in the mirror. It had become a guiding principle for action, helping her face fear, practice courage, and speak English naturally in every situation. The takeaway is clear. Your English journey does not stop at work or school. Every day is an opportunity to practice, connect, and grow. Combine curiosity, self-love, and joyful practice, and English becomes a bridge to the world, not just a subject to study. By now, Emma had come a long way. She started with small steps, looking in the mirror, saying kind words to herself, practicing short sentences, and listening carefully. She faced fear in meetings, tried speaking to strangers, explored hobbies in English, and shared stories with friends. And slowly, over time, she transformed. Have you ever looked back and noticed how far you've come, even when it felt small day by day? Emma realized that her journey was not about perfection. It was about progress, courage, and self-love. Every time she tried, every time she smiled at a mistake, every time she repeated a phrase or asked a question, she reinforced her confidence and her fluency. Emma reflected on the key habits that helped her most. First, daily kindness toward herself. Simple words like, I am enough or I can try created a foundation of courage. Without self-love, fear would have blocked her. With it, she could act despite fear. Second, joyful and playful practice. Learning English became exciting when she listened to stories, repeated sentences, and created her own small stories. Curiosity turned learning into a fun adventure. When she enjoyed the process, English felt alive, not like homework. Third, real-life conversations. Speaking with colleagues, friends, shopkeepers, and even strangers gave her the experience of using English naturally. Every interaction, small or big, reinforced her skills and her confidence. Mistakes became stepping stones instead of obstacles. Fourth, reflection. Writing simple sentences about her day, describing her feelings, and noting her successes helped her see progress. It reminded her that learning is a journey, not a race. Small wins matter, and self-love helps you notice them. By combining these habits, Emma felt more confident not only in English, but in life. She could speak with clarity, patience, and courage. She could share stories, ask questions, and express her feelings. English was no longer a source of stress or fear. It was a tool to connect, explore, and grow. Here is a reflection for you. How much progress have you made, even in small steps? Can you recognize the courage in trying English every day, listening carefully, repeating phrases, and asking questions? Every step counts. Every attempt matters. And every kind thought you give yourself fuels your growth. Emma also realized an important truth. Transformation is not sudden. It is gradual, built by small actions repeated consistently. One sentence in the mirror, one short conversation, one story practiced slowly, all these moments add up to real change. And that change is lasting because it is built on self-love and courage, not pressure or fear. She remembered the first time she faced a big meeting. She was nervous, unsure, and afraid of mistakes. Now, she could speak in front of groups, participate in discussions, and even enjoy conversations. The difference was not only her English. It was the confidence, self-love, and courage she had developed along the way. Here is a practical lesson for you. You can follow the same steps. Begin with kindness toward yourself. Practice joyfully. Speak in small, real-life situations. Reflect on your progress. Mistakes will happen, but they are part of the process. Step by step, conversation by conversation, story by story, your English and your confidence will grow. Emma also noticed something beautiful. Her English journey improved other parts of her life. She felt braver in everyday situations, more patient with challenges, and more connected with people around her. Self-love and English practice were not separate, they strengthened each other. The skills she developed in one area spilled into the other, creating a positive cycle. Let's take a moment to imagine your own journey. Picture yourself speaking English with confidence. Picture yourself smiling at small mistakes, enjoying conversations, and using English naturally in daily life. Imagine practicing self-love each morning, listening to stories, telling your own stories, and connecting with people. Can you feel it? That sense of freedom, growth, and confidence? That is what Emma discovered. And the final takeaway from this section is simple but powerful. Transformation happens when courage, self-love, joyful practice, and reflection combine. Each step, no matter how small, builds your confidence. Each attempt, no matter how imperfect, moves you forward. And each kind thought you give yourself strengthens both your English and your life. After months of practice, Emma realized that the key to her success was not a single big event. It was her daily habits, small, consistent actions that built her confidence, her English, and her self-love. She began to structure her days in ways that made learning natural, enjoyable, and sustainable. Have you ever noticed how small daily routines can change your life over time? Emma learned that consistency matters more than intensity. 10 minutes every day of focused, kind practice is more powerful than an hour once a week. And the habits she developed were simple, practical, and fun. First, Emma started each morning with self-love. She looked in the mirror and said 3 kind sentences. I am enough. I can try. I am learning every day. Simple words, but they set the tone for her day. They reminded her that mistakes are part of the journey, that she is allowed to be imperfect, and that courage grows with practice. Next, she combined self-love with English practice. Each morning, she listened to a short story or a podcast in simple English. She repeated sentences slowly, noticing pronunciation, rhythm, and meaning. Sometimes she recorded herself and compared it with the original audio. This helped her improve clarity and confidence in speaking. Emma also created a habit of writing short reflections in English. Every evening, she wrote 3 to 5 sentences about her day, what she did, what she learned, and what she felt. For example, today I spoke with my colleague in English. I understood most of the conversation. I felt proud. These sentences helped her track progress, notice improvements, and reinforce self-love. Another habit was daily speaking practice. Emma set small goals. Greet one new person, ask a simple question, or describe something around her in English. She repeated short dialogues in her mind or aloud. These small actions gradually built natural fluency and reduced fear in real-life situations. Emma also integrated English into her hobbies. She watched videos about painting, music, or travel in simple English. She read short stories or graded readers aloud. She even wrote short summaries of what she learned or enjoyed. By linking English to her interests, she made learning enjoyable and meaningful. Here is a tip for you. Choose one small English habit today. It can be listening for 10 minutes, writing 3 sentences, or speaking one short dialogue. Do it every day. Small, consistent actions create long-lasting results. Over time, your fluency and confidence will grow naturally, without stress. Emma discovered another powerful habit, curiosity in daily life. She would notice small things around her and describe them in English. For example, the sky is blue today. I see 2 birds flying. It feels calm. These tiny exercises strengthened her vocabulary, speaking skills, and observation. They also made English practice natural and creative. She also practiced storytelling every day. She would recount small events from her day or imagine short stories aloud. For example, this morning I saw a dog playing in the park. It was funny. I laughed and waved at it. These stories helped her connect English with emotions, making learning memorable and enjoyable. Emma's next habit was reviewing mistakes kindly. Whenever she stumbled over a word or grammar point, she noted it in a notebook. Then she gently reviewed it later, without pressure. Self-love was key. Mistakes were opportunities to learn, not reasons to feel bad. Finally, Emma made English a part of her social life. She joined small online groups, spoke with friends, and shared simple stories. Conversations became daily practice, and she no longer feared mistakes. She focused on connection, curiosity, and kindness, rather than perfection. Let's reflect together. Which of these habits can you start today? Can you speak a short sentence aloud? Can you listen to a podcast or read a story for a few minutes? Can you write a simple reflection in English? The key is consistency. Small daily habits create big results over time. By the end of her journey, Emma realized something important. English learning is not a race. It is a daily, gentle process that grows confidence, self-love, and fluency together. Each small habit strengthened not only her language skills, but also her courage, patience, and joy. The takeaway from this section is clear. Build small, simple daily habits. Combine listening, speaking, writing, reflection, curiosity, and social connection. Reinforce everything with self-love and patience. Step by step, day by day, your English skills and confidence will grow naturally. Emma had come a long way. From shy beginnings and nervous meetings to daily habits, playful practice, and connecting with others, her English had grown naturally. But she knew something important. Learning English is not just about reaching a goal. It is about sustaining growth over a lifetime. She wanted to make sure that the progress she had made would continue, even months or years from now. Have you ever learned something new and felt proud, only to notice that it slowly fades when you stop practicing? Emma had experienced that before. She did not want her English to fade. So she started thinking about long-term strategies, ways to keep improving naturally, without stress and with joy. The first key strategy was consistency. Emma realized that small, daily practice mattered more than long, intense sessions. Even 10 minutes a day of speaking, listening, reading, or writing in English could maintain her fluency. The idea was simple. Small steps, repeated every day, lead to lasting growth. She also kept her habits flexible. Some days she listened to a podcast while walking. Other days she wrote a short journal entry. Some mornings she practiced speaking aloud, repeating a story or describing her surroundings. By varying activities, learning stayed fun and interesting, rather than boring or stressful. Emma continued using self-love as her foundation. Whenever she stumbled over words or felt nervous, she reminded herself, mistakes are okay. I am learning. I can try again. Self-love prevented frustration from slowing her progress. It also made practice enjoyable because she focused on growth, not perfection. Another important strategy was reflection. Emma kept her daily or weekly reflections in English. She wrote about successes, challenges, feelings, and goals. For example, this week I spoke with 3 new people. I felt nervous at first. I tried. I am proud. These reflections reinforced learning, built confidence, and helped her notice small achievements that could easily be forgotten. Emma also made English part of her social and professional life. She joined online communities, participated in discussions, and shared stories. She spoke with friends and colleagues in English whenever possible. These small social practices kept her language alive, natural, and meaningful. Real conversations provided context and purpose, which made learning more powerful than studying alone. Curiosity remained another cornerstone of her long-term growth. Emma continued exploring topics she loved: music, travel, art, and culture. She listened, read, and spoke about her interests in English. Learning something meaningful motivated her more than rote memorization or grammar drills. Curiosity made English a tool for exploration and personal enrichment. Emma also embraced storytelling as a daily habit. She told short stories about her day, memories, or imagined scenarios. She shared them with friends or practiced alone. Storytelling kept her speaking fluent, expressive, and connected to her own thoughts and emotions. Stories make language alive, memorable, and fun. A very practical habit Emma developed was reviewing useful phrases and expressions. She created a small notebook of sentences she wanted to use naturally. Every week, she reviewed, repeated, and practiced them. This way, she kept her vocabulary fresh and her sentences ready for real-life use. Emma understood another key point: growth is not linear. Some weeks felt easier. Some weeks felt harder. Sometimes fear returned, or she struggled to find words. But she saw these moments as part of the journey, not failures. Patience, persistence, and self-love allowed her to continue moving forward, no matter the challenges. Here is a reflection for you. Imagine your English 1 year from now. What small daily habits could you do today that will grow into confidence and fluency over time? Could you listen to a short story, speak for 5 minutes, write 3 sentences, or ask a question in English every day? Small actions, repeated consistently, lead to long-term growth. Emma also practiced teaching and helping others. Sometimes she explained simple English phrases to a friend or shared tips with colleagues. Teaching reinforced her knowledge, confidence, and fluency. Helping others created a positive cycle. She grew while others grew too. Finally, Emma embraced the mindset of lifelong learning. She did not see English as a temporary skill, but as a journey she could enjoy for years. Each day offered opportunities to speak, listen, connect, and explore. Mistakes were friends, curiosity was fuel, and self-love was the engine that kept her moving. By the end of this stage, Emma felt a deep sense of freedom. English was no longer intimidating. It was a bridge to new ideas, friendships, and experiences. She could communicate naturally, express herself fully, and continue growing with confidence. She knew that as long as she nurtured her habits, her curiosity, and her kindness toward herself, her English journey would continue successfully for life. The takeaway from this section is simple: long-term success in English comes from consistent, meaningful, and joyful practice. Combine daily habits, curiosity, storytelling, reflection, social interaction, and self-love. Accept mistakes as part of the process. Focus on connection, growth, and joy. And remember, your English journey is not a race. It is a lifelong adventure full of discoveries and opportunities. Emma's journey began with hesitation, fear, and uncertainty. She was nervous about speaking English, afraid of mistakes, and unsure if she could ever feel confident. But step by step, day by day, she discovered something powerful. Learning English is not just about grammar, words, or tests. It is about courage, self-love, curiosity, and consistent practice. Have you noticed how Emma's journey mirrors your own potential journey? Every learner faces fear. Every learner makes mistakes. But the difference is in how we respond. Emma chose to respond with patience, curiosity, and kindness toward herself. She practiced in small, joyful ways. She reflected, connected with others, and celebrated progress. And that choice transformed her English, her confidence, and her life. Let's summarize the key lessons Emma learned and that you can use in your own journey. First, self-love is the foundation. Simple words like, I am enough, or mistakes are okay, give you courage. They allow you to face fear, try new sentences, and speak without harsh self-judgment. Self-love makes learning enjoyable and sustainable. Second, joyful and playful practice is essential. Listen to stories, repeat phrases, tell small stories, and explore your curiosity. Learning English becomes exciting when you enjoy the process. Curiosity turns practice into an adventure rather than a task. Third, small real-life actions create real progress. Speak to colleagues, friends, shopkeepers, or even yourself. Ask questions, describe surroundings, share simple stories. Every small conversation, no matter how imperfect, strengthens your fluency and confidence. Fourth, reflection reinforces growth. Writing short sentences about your day, noting progress, and celebrating small wins helps you see improvement. Reflection also strengthens self-love because you notice your courage and effort, not just mistakes. Fifth, mistakes are part of the journey. Emma learned that mistakes are not failures. They're opportunities to learn, to pause, to correct, and to continue. When you stop fearing mistakes, your English flows naturally. Sixth, consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily actions, 10 minutes of listening, 5 minutes of speaking, writing a few sentences, or asking a question, compound over time. Habits, repeated consistently, lead to lasting confidence and fluency. Seventh, connection and communication give purpose to learning. English is not just words. It is a bridge to share ideas, feelings, and stories with others. The more you focus on connecting rather than performing perfectly, the more alive and natural your English becomes. Finally, lifelong learning is the ultimate mindset. Emma realized that English is not a goal to reach and stop. It is a journey to enjoy, explore, and grow from every day. Mistakes, curiosity, stories, habits, and kindness, all these combine to create lasting progress. Let's reflect together. Imagine yourself speaking English naturally. Imagine sharing stories, asking questions, laughing at small mistakes, and connecting with others. Imagine listening carefully, practicing joyfully, and reflecting kindly on your growth. Can you feel the confidence building inside you? Can you feel the joy of using English as a tool to explore the world and express yourself? That is exactly what Emma discovered, and it is possible for you too. So here is the final takeaway. Your English journey is not about perfection. It is about action, courage, and love for yourself. Start small. Practice daily. Speak, listen, write, and reflect. Embrace mistakes. Explore curiosity. Connect with others. And above all, be kind to yourself. This is the formula for natural English fluency and lasting confidence. Emma's journey reminds us that learning a language is a path of transformation. You do not just learn words, you grow courage, patience, empathy, and self-love. You discover the power to express yourself and connect with the world. And every step, no matter how small, matters. Remember, your journey begins now. Every sentence you speak, every story you tell, every reflection you write is part of your growth. English is not just a language, it is a bridge, a friend, and a lifelong adventure. So take a deep breath. Smile at your progress. Speak a small sentence aloud. Listen carefully to a story. Write 3 sentences about your day. And remind yourself, you are enough, you can try, and every step counts. Thank you for joining Emma on this journey. Remember, learning English is more than words. It is courage, self-love, and daily practice. Take these lessons with you, apply them, and enjoy your own fluent English journey.